Hi, I'm Alexia, and I'll be talking about dealing with fears with my two guests, Abby and Philippa. And to start it off, I'm gonna be discussing about like what is fear, and there's two parts to fear, and then we'll move more into like what their fears are and learn more about them. So fear is a very powerful and primitive like human emotion, and we mostly develop fear when we're like in a dangerous situation. And fear can be cut up into two parts. There's biochemical and then there's also emotional. So biochemical is more like instincts, and it comes with like you get sweaty, you have a high heart rate, you get the adrenaline rush. And emotional is more like through personal experiences growing up, you kind of develop different fears that not everyone has. Some being more unreasonable than others, more like fear of paranormal. And then with biochemical, there's fight or flight mode, which is you either run from your fears or you fight your fears. I'm personally a runner. I hate confronting my fears. When there's a sense of danger, I just bolt. I'm not one of those people like in those horror movies who just decides to stay and check it out. How about you guys? No?
I would run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No question. No.
No,
Okay. And then there's so then I did more research on fear, and I found that there's like 6 basic fears amongst like human beings, which tend to be like fear of ill health, poverty, criticism, death, which is one of my biggest fears, and fear of not being loved. And then I found some smaller fears such as like germs, dogs, the dark, spiders, snakes, heights. And then I found something interesting. In America, the top fear amongst human beings is public speaking. Which kind of makes sense. I think everyone has that fear. I know I do. I know even being in front of this camera now that you two are not feeling so great. But now I want to open it up to you guys. I want to hear all about you and your fears. What is from the beginning, what are your childhood fears?
So for me it was never about darkness or animals or height or anything. I was always afraid of cars. So driving in a car when I was small, and then even right now, like when I have my license, I hate driving it myself.
Are you scared of like the motion of the car, being confined in a space?
No, I was always afraid of a car crash. I've never been in one, I just saw one, and that kind of stuck to me when I was like 4.
Yeah.
And I never forgot it. And so like every time I get into a car, and you know how you sometimes with friends and they drive really fast because they're super cool, like I freak out. I can't.
Like stop being cool.
Yeah, like I start sweating and I breathe really fast, and I just need to get out of the car.
See, I always like growing up I had a fear of cars, but cars and hills. Okay. Like I always had a fear that I'll be in a car and all of a sudden we'll be going up a hill or down a hill, and the car would like the brakes would stop working, and we'd just go flying backwards and flying forward, and like the brakes would just not work.
Yeah.
I was so scared. Like I'm still scared of hills, like walking up hills, driving up hills. Like I don't like it.
No.
Yeah. How about you?
One of my biggest childhood fears was like that there would be someone hiding in my closet.
Yeah.
And so like I got really afraid of the dark. And I got really afraid of leaving my door closed while I was sleeping, so I would sleep with like a night lamp on. And then there were a few times in the middle of the night I would just like wake up really suddenly thinking I heard my door start to open. And so then I would get like paralyzed for like hours, and like every 5 minutes I'd move like a little bit to try and like get out of bed and open the door. And so it would take me like 5 hours.
You were awake for 5 hours?
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was probably like 9, 10 during when that would happen.
Yeah.
And so like I'd be awake the whole night, and then finally like eventually I'd get to my door, open it. There was no one there ever.
Did you think it was like a person or like a ghost?
No, a person. Like I
just like breaking into your house.
Yeah. or like one of my brothers messing with me or something. I don't know, but then like because my parents always told me when I was really little I used to hate sleeping in my own room, because when we moved, like each of my brothers had their own room and then my parents' room, and then mine was furthest away, and so I got really scared at night in the dark, and so then I would like go take a sleeping bag and just sleep in the hallway right between everyone's bedrooms.
Isn't it scarier being out in the open?
Yeah, but it was like if there was no locks too, which I think freaked me out. Like someone could come into my room and lock the door.
Well, there was no locks, or there was locks?
There wasn't any locks in the hallway.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying.
I had easy access.
Yeah.
To my parents.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah. So are any of these fears relevant nowadays in your life?
I'm still afraid of cars and driving in a car, but like it got better because there's no way around it. So sometimes you just have to drive a car.
Do you have any other fears?
Right now,
Mm-hmm.
I think my biggest fear is my future, as in I don't know, like which university to apply to, where to study, which job to take, if I should do an internship or not. And it's like I think everyone is afraid of that, but for me it's more about as soon as I think about it, I can't organize anything because I panic and then be like, okay, I'll do it tomorrow, and then I end up missing the deadlines. But it's just, I don't know, I'm afraid of being done with uni and having to work.
Yeah.
I think that's a big one for me.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Yeah, that's one of my biggest fears too, is just, you go to high school, you go to college, and then you've had everything like laid out for you up until that point, and then afterwards you're like expected to just be on your own.
And make your own decisions. It's like in school.
Yeah.
People tell you what to do. At uni, you pick your courses, but actually you still have an advisor who tells you, take that one, and the next semester take that one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's up to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I know nothing. Like.
Yeah. And it's also like the fear of like that I won't be able to support myself.
Yeah.
That you won't find a job or with good enough pay or anything, and you won't have the money to live on, which I think is scary.
No, I agree. Like I always get kind of envious at people who are like have that talent or had that one moment in their life that kind of shines and like brings them to stardom, and then they're like set.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when's my talent gonna show up? Like, I am terrified. I'm like, what am I gonna end up actually doing with my life? And I think that's an important fear. Like, it's not one that's more like unreasonable.
Yeah.
It's more like, it's not like the Boogie Monster. It's not like some like childhood thing. It's more like, okay, time's speeding up more than I thought, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, how am I supposed to achieve what my parents have achieved so far, and like starting a life, being productive, having a career, and everything like that.
Yeah, and then like in what you were just saying about decisions, it's scary because I'm always scared I'm gonna make the wrong decision. Like because with a lot of jobs, you either choose what you genuinely want to do, and maybe it won't pay enough or like be a long-lasting job or whatever, or you just go into kind of the safety net of a typical job.
But still you need to find what you really want to do.
Yeah.
I think that's like the first step. There's so many options. And then there's like one thing you like, and then you hear someone talking about something else and you're like, oh, that's cool too, and then you can like never decide.
Yeah, and that's scary too, because then what if you just get stuck in a job that you hate for the rest of your life?
Or you miss the point where you actually have to do it.
Yeah.
Because like you see so many people who study and they don't care, and then they study for another semester, and then they turn like 25 and still have no bachelor degree. So yeah, I don't know. Freaks me out.
Well, then, how do you think you're able to deal with these fears, if you can?
I think for me, I hate it, but it's the pressure you get from your parents. So there's no way I'm not doing anything, because then they won't pay for me. I have to do something. And it's also like the people you surround yourself with. So if you have like, I have older siblings, or like I have a big family of friends who work, and they all support you and tell you, don't freak out, it's going to work out.
Yeah.
I think it helps,
having the
but
support.
still,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's kind of you have to like push through
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I mean that's what I usually do too. Is just in terms of like the future and everything. I usually just talk to people who have succeeded or have gone past that stage in life. And like it's helpful to hear people when they're like, yeah, it was hard and I did make some wrong decisions, maybe like got some bad jobs that I shouldn't have or missed some opportunities, but in the end they're always like, I found a good job that I like, I'm able to support myself. Like it, for the most part, it usually does work out, and I just find it really helpful to talk to people because they've been through it.
What fears do you want to get over besides like the future? Like what, like more like smaller scale fears do you have that you want to like kind of jump over?
Like really small scale,
like thunder. Like you guys were both saying earlier on, like you're really scared of thunder, and I'm just like, I'm not scared, but like
I'm actually not scared of it. I just don't like it because I like rain, but I'm not
really scared of it.
Yeah. Wait, what about it?
Well, like it's like situational because I was like hiking once and we were camping in like a deep valley, like where we were surrounded by all of these like mountains that had like huge boulders that looked kind of precarious on edge or anything. And so like in the middle of the night we woke up to just like thunder that was so loud that you had to like cover your ears because it was right above us. But like I was inside the tent, so I didn't know that it was thunder. You just hear like these huge crashing sounds, and so I thought that it was all of the boulders like that had gotten loose and were like just crashing down onto us. And so I was like panicking. Like it was, so it's like I'm scared of thunder just from that one specific moment.
Which that's all it takes to create one fear in life. You watch a movie, you have an experience in the forest, or you see a car crash happen. It's like all of these are kind of stimulated from one event that then continues on with your life and creates these. It can either tend to be unreasonable or reasonable fears, depending on what they specifically are. So in addition, like I was wondering, like I was just curious, what do you think for the public, what do you think they should be worried or fearful about for the future?
I would say you cannot be afraid of politics, but like the direction they're taking right now.
Yeah.
So all of the interference in different countries, I think they lead to an overpopulation in other countries, and like people leaving their own country and not planning on going back because there's nothing left. So maybe like the whole Europe, America, Middle East, everything how it is right now might change.
Yeah.
I don't know if it might be good, but it might be
might
bad.
Not, yeah, there's a lot of like in terms of politics and government and like international relations.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like uncertainty that.
And I think it's also people don't actually know what's happening.
Yeah.
Because it's a few people being powerful.
Yeah, and so like it's a fear that people should have, but a lot of people don't have because they're just unaware of a lot of the situation. You know, I study international relations, and so I had like at least a little bit of an education on like politics and that part of how the world works and everything. And the main part that scares me around that is that like the main people who are in power and the leaders of the country, they make so many huge decisions, and actual like even in democracies like the US, where like I voted for in the recent election, I did not vote for Trump, but he still wins, you know. So we have so little say in stuff like that, but then Trump has so much that he can do and so much power that could affect so many people's lives, and it could affect my life. And so like that really scares me because like essentially you're putting your life into someone else's hands, and you may not even like them or like what they want or their ideals, but there's nothing that you can do.
Yeah.
You know.
No, it's a really scary kind of life right now in the US. I feel.
And throughout the world, it's just it's terrifying.
Because you're constantly having your life rely on others, when really it's like you don't know who you can count on and who you can't.
Yeah.
So lastly, I would like to discuss like if you're like a fearful person or not. I know that I am. I'm kind of almost scared of everything. But I was wondering if you guys are like your general fears, like, and also your small fears. Like, do you consider yourself like just fearful of most things, or just fearful of like the realistic, more like?
I think I'm more afraid of like big things, like future and stuff like that. But when it comes to my personal day-to-day life, I would say I'm not a fearful person. So, like, I rarely come in situations where I stand in my own way because I'm afraid of something.
That's good.
Yeah, I would say I'm a pretty fearful person. Like, I worry about the future, but I also don't worry about it, and I'm trying not to worry about it until, like, I actually
Till
need
it's in
to.
your face.
Till it's in my face, and then, like, once I have the pressure, then I can probably deal with it. But, no, it's like, I, like, deal with a lot of fears every day, just because I do deal with, like, anxiety a lot, and so, like, but it's not necessarily situational, it's more just every day, and so, like, social situations or public speaking or stuff that, like, everyone has to do every day, it just, like, gives me bad anxiety, and so I have to, and then I have fear of it.
All right, so quickly, what is your advice to others on how to face their fears?
I would say if it's about big fears, definitely find someone you can talk to and who can help you deal with it, because it's easier if you have someone like beside you than doing it on your own. And for the small fears like spider, darkness, I don't know, I would just face it. Or there's some situations you can just try not to get yourself into, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. Talking to people really helps, as long as there's someone who will actually understand you and support you and getting over that fear. But yeah, in terms of like spiders and stuff, sometimes those fears, I think you kind of just got to do yourself. You know, you just take a step towards the spider and then back away, and then, you know, capture it the next day. You don't have to touch it, you don't have to do any of that, but like, you still, those are the fears that you have to deal with on your own. And it may take a while. It's not like you're gonna get over like your fear of heights just by jumping off a cliff, you know, but it is something that can be dealt with.
Or slowly just working your way up higher and higher on a structure, like a building.
And I think even being afraid of height is like, so what, then you're afraid of height, you don't have to force yourself.
Right.
You can just live with
it's not stopping you.
But like being afraid of your future might be a problem because you actually have to deal with it.
Yeah,
so.
that's true.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I hope you had a good time. It was a little nerve-wracking. Well, this is Alexia with Dealing with Fears, and I hope you tune in. This will be posted on YouTube, and so will the following. I'll have new guests every show. I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much. Today is May 8th.